Kono Florida Anamanda. What is up, everybody? Today I want to talk about everybody's favorite series. Maybe. Is JoJo's overhyped? Kinda? Half the people that probably catch this series probably are here for the memes, and who could blame them? My god. God tier memes. So when Stone Ocean comes out and any part after that, I cannot wait for the new memes. Literally doesn't matter. No context, with context, it's still confusing, and I love it. And I can't really break down why people like it. It's just this thing. There's just this bravado and experience that comes with JoJo's. I didn't get into it for the longest time. I had a friend that, I think only one friend that was super behind it. And I know you're watching this, so thank you. This shit is so good, and I will try to spread it to everybody. And I know there's the whole stigma of, oh yeah, JoJo's fans going in blind and just vomiting the suggestion that you should watch it. And yeah, that can get pretty annoying, but I think it is a good show to give a chance after some time. I definitely don't think it's like the first thing you should watch. You could say it's an acquired taste. Kinda. I feel like it's like peak anime because it's so just ridiculous that if it was the first thing you sat down and watched, or even if you like were pretty casual and you just like, it's one of the first things you started watching, you'd probably be turned off because it's so just like in your face and just over the top. And that's what's so lovable about it, but it is very like jarring at first. And then it comes down to like part breakdowns and it changing drastically between each, which personally it's why I'm gonna remember. It's why I'm gonna remember JoJo's even as long. That's assuming it even ends. We'll be dead. One Piece and JoJo's will still be going, and Berserk maybe. I gotta read all of these to catch up. My god. But yeah, it comes down to maybe just the overall layout can be kind of confusing. And if you're one of those disgusting people on the internet that says, oh, you can watch any part in any order, you're wrong. You are objectively wrong. Get that out of here. I don't care if I get absolutely crucified for that. That's just weird. It's still in an order until maybe part 7 and 8 where it you get it, where it isn't exactly in order. But just like to talk about the first 5 parts that have been adapted so far, just because I haven't read the manga part 6, 7, and 8. I'm just following the anime, and then as time goes on, if it takes too long and I get more free time, I'll probably end up reading it because I've become very freaking invested in this series. So part 1, I think, is understandably the worst part, just because it's short, it sets up the world, it gets things rolling. It's good. It has some great just characters in it, and it's concise, gets to the point, and it's done. And it's very surprising. Like with the way I knew nothing about JoJo's going in, so the way part 1 ends, I genuinely was like, wait, what? Like, how does that make any sense? And I think when I started watching it was only up to part 4, so I was like, wait, there's still so much more. There's like 100 plus more episodes. We're only on like episode 9. But then, yeah, so it's not bad, but it's not great either. It got the bizarre adventure going. Part 2, on the other hand, oh my god, it is incredible. I mean, there's a reason most people say part 2 is the best. It's awesome. It's just the whole, like, it's an American action film, just like over the top ridiculousness. There's posing, there's just imposing people, there's, oh my god, it got into a groove of things that kind of got started with part 1, and it like lightly goes from part 1 into this, because part 3 more continues what happened in part 1. Part 2 is kind of the middleman that has its own just whack of a story, and I love it for that. Just Nazis versus the Pillar Men with band names. I love the inclusion of bands, artists, and different characters as the characters' names. I grew up with a lot of these, just listening to these, bought a lot of the albums. Too many to name, to break down and like pinpoint exactly, except part 4. I'm looking at you, Bad Company. Yep, represent. That's the best one. I'm sad that he didn't have a longer screen time, but back to part 2. This is just, the plot is, it's pretty fast paced. It doesn't slow down too much. There's actual stakes. Things are just always happening. The fights are phenomenal. The like twists are really cool. Things are just brutal as shit. And it's just, I mean, it's just pleasant all the way to the very end. Like, how is this gonna wrap up? It legitimately had me. I paid for the whole seat and I only used the edge of it for part 2. That, oh my god, it so good. So good. I mean, if you've watched this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Part 2 is just fun. It's just fun. Everything about it is awesome. And then part 3 happens. Part 3. I don't care how much crap I get from everybody. I don't like part 3. I like the characters, and that's about it, which is weird to say. So you're like, oh yeah, so you probably like the majority of it. The story just, it's so slow. It's such a drag. It's literally, it turns into Monster of the Week or Stand of the Week, which is fine if you're watching Saturday morning cartoons JoJo's, I guess. And yes, there are some absolute bangers for episodes. The gambling one, the magnet, the magnet one alone might genuinely be my personal favorite one. That is so funny. And then it's all just this build up to Dio, and being outside of the fandom, I thought, oh, Dio's this big menacing villain of a character who's probably there all the time. He's literally just in the background for all of part 3 until like maybe one episode here or there, and just puppeteering the whole thing, which is fine, I guess, but I really wish he was more active in it, which is what I like about part 4. But before we get into that, it leads all the way up to Dio, and then it's just this, it's a good fight, and it's got like high stakes, and it is brutal as shit. Part 3, the last 5 episodes are incredible. I wish the rest of it had that same like just like grip and feeling, because I genuinely love the end of part 3, but the build up to it is way too long. You could cut out so much. It just feels like full on filler for a lot of it, which is unfortunate, because I think overall it's still good if you enjoy it, and like with the names of stands and seeing different abilities and like the creativity. But as a story, it sucks. I'm sorry, but the plot up until like the actual objective is fine, but it's funny because it's one of these weird instances where it's the destination, not the journey. For this, I genuinely just get to the destination, please. And I mean, so I would still say it's better than part 1, but part 2 100% has part 3 beat. And then part 4. Part 4, I think, fixed almost everything I had with a complaint of part 3. It still is kind of Monster of the Week with different stands in every episode, and like these different perils the characters get in, but there's a thing that actually there's not even a destination. They're not really working towards anything that I can remember. Part 4 is just like, I think it turned off some people I know, just because it came out as this typical like a high school part, and yes, they're all in high school and whatnot, but that doesn't, I don't even like think about that when I really reflect on part 4. The characters are great, the stands awesome as ever, but what really makes part 4 special is the villain. Oh my god, the villain for part 4 is, I think in my opinion, the best villain in JoJo's yet. For the first 5 parts, personally. He is just always in the background. He's being built up constantly. Maybe not for the first half of part 4. It's very subtle, I think, with like foreshadow and all that, but it still has that just enough to be like, all right, what's going on with this dude? And then by the second half of it, it's like he's almost always around, like, and having some part in everything. And oh my god, he's incredible. His stand, Killer Queen, best villain I can barely even remember, is so brutal that I don't even know, man. It's so awesome. He's just menacing. Also, I think I'm kind of I have a personal bias because the whole child backstory and with the dog under the bed and the hand licking part, that was one of the few horror stories I was told as a kid that genuinely terrified me, because I knew it wasn't real, but at the same time it was so well told that it gave me actual chills. It was the very real campfire scary story that they go boo and everybody gets actually like terrified, and they went with that premise of that very story and went for it with this. And I think outside of that, part 4, the stakes are really high, but by the end there's not really a lot that like actually happened. What I mean by that is that there is a lot that happened, but like by the end everybody's pretty unscathed, and it just kind of, for the most part, I mean, people still get pretty brutalized, but in comparison to part 3, part 4 was like, all right, we're gonna chill out a little bit on the characters, so it probably could have gone a little harder, but I still really like it. I don't know, man, between part 2 and 4, I still think part 2 is just more fun overall. It also helps that it's probably shorter, gets to the point, and has just straight through action almost the entire time. But part 4 is great, and I don't really have many complaints about part 4. I really like it. Part 5 I did watch recently, and by recently is probably when did it come out? 6 months, a year ago at this point. The cast, as always, is awesome. That's the one thing about JoJo's, is the characters in almost every part, you care about almost all of them. And I say almost because there are a couple weak ones. With part 5, Fugo, I mean, he's kind of written weakly, I guess. But he's kind of turns into a more minor character for Passione and all that. I'll probably get flamed if I'm like making hot takes or like really crap statements, but that's just kind of how he felt for me. Bruno is awesome. Oh my god. Giorno, I mean, he's another one of the main characters, man. I'm pretty sure every main character for each part of JoJo's is just unique and awesome in their own way. Like, there hasn't been a weak one yet where I'm just kind of like, really? Like, man, all right, this is the low point. No, they're awesome. It's really cool. Part 5 has a story that you're not, like, it has a goal with Giorno, but it's kind of, it doesn't really like get going. It's kind of getting set up in the beginning, and you're not really sure like what, like, there's the idea of how to like progress and how they're gonna move forward, but then once they get to acquiring the boss's daughter character for the mafia gang of this story, it really picks up from there and gives them an objective of getting her to this destination and discovering who the boss is of this whole unseen persona for this leader of this crime syndicate, essentially. And when they finally get to the villain of this one, I still think part 4 has the better villain, but part 5 has, I mean, he comes in just behind, because Diavolo, I'm gonna butcher that, I'm so sorry, is just, his stand ability and like how he does everything is just twisted, man. It kind of is just pure evil, like Dio. Like, it hits like that, except funny enough, now that I'm like saying this out loud, the part 5 main like villain bad guy is someone who puppeteers the background very much exactly like Dio, except they still give you enough like new information and like a mystery to work towards that it keeps you engaged and intrigued and like, I want to know what happens. Meanwhile with Dio, it was like, oh well, we know who he is. He's a dick that just wants to just end the Joestar bloodline because he's evil. Like, he's evil. He killed dog. That's how we prove that a character is evil in JoJo's. If they kill a dog. If there's a dog on screen, everybody holds their breath. They get nervous. I get nervous. Nobody likes it. Please stop killing dogs. Make another way for a villain to be known that they're evil. My God, it's always so brutal. But yeah, like, that's the weird comparison with, like, I really like the villain because he's developed just enough to make you want more, and what more could you ask for with that? And with that, that's really about it because until part 6 comes out, I have no opinion on it. Part 7, I want to see part 7 so bad just because I love the idea of the wacky race across America type stuff. I will eat that kind of content up. It is so much fun. That just sounds interesting. I only know that premise, so like otherwise I am eagerly anticipating that. But yeah, let's see. Part 5, I would probably say part 2, part 4, part 5, part 3, part 1. I'm sure there's many people who disagree with that for the various reasons, but everybody's allowed to have your opinion. And I don't really think there's a wrong one with this. Hopefully you all enjoyed watching this JoJo's rant. It's probably a little bit longer of one, but it's just such a fun series that I like. I've gotten so invested in and grown so attached to that. I don't know, man. It's just fun to talk about. So if you found this fun or interesting, you enjoyed watching, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Leave a like on the video, and hopefully I'll make another video in the near future for you guys to enjoy. I like just talking about this, so shouting into the void even if you're not there. Anyway, see you, bye.